Here's a wild question. How can the world's second largest economy be simultaneously unstoppable and falling apart? China's building high-speed rail faster than anyone in history, while youth unemployment hits record highs. They're the world's factory, while factories shut down. They've got more billionaires than the US, and 70 million empty apartments just sitting there. So what's actually happening? Is China collapsing, or is that just what everyone wants to believe? Let me show you how we got here. Rewind to 1978. China's basically a giant farm. Most people are rural, poor, isolated. Then Deng Xiaoping comes along and says,
maybe extreme poverty isn't working out.
He opens special economic zones, invites foreign investment, and tells the world we've got 1.3 billion people who can make literally anything for cheap.
Wait, you're telling us we can manufacture everything for a fraction of the cost?
And they're willing to work around the clock.
Sign us up.
The West floods in. China becomes the world's factory floor. By 2001, they join the W2. And that's when things go absolutely nuclear. Between 2000 and 2010, the economy grows over 10% annually. Every single year, hundreds of millions lifted out of poverty. Cities exploding overnight. Infrastructure projects that made other countries look like they were standing still. It's the fastest economic transformation in human history. But China starts asking a dangerous question. What if we didn't just make things? What if we built things? That's when the concrete party started. Imagine you're running China in the 2000s. Your economy's booming. People want places to live. Simple, right? Just build some apartments. Except China didn't build some apartments. They built all the apartments. Everywhere. Between 2011 and 2013, China used more concrete than the United States used in the entire 20th century.
We don't need demand. We'll build the demand.
But who's going to live in all these apartments?
Someone will. Trust me. Just keep lending.
Here's how it worked. Local governments sold land to developers. Developers borrowed massively. Chinese families bought multiple apartments as investments, not to live in. Because where else could they put their money? Banks paid low interest. Property seemed like the only safe bet. At its peak, real estate made up 30% of China's entire economy. The problem? The whole system depended on ever-rising property prices. Fast forward to 2021. Evergrande, China's biggest property developer, borrowed over $300 billion and suddenly couldn't pay it back.
Good news and bad news. We built a lot of apartments. Bad news, we can't finish them or pay you back.
Country Garden followed. Then, more giants collapsed. The whole system was built on ever-rising prices. When those stopped rising, the Jenga tower shook.
We should buy another apartment as an investment.
Mom, there are 70 million empty apartments.
So it's a buyer's market?
It's a nobody's buying market.
The government tried everything. Lower rates, more lending, reassurances. But you can't force people to buy when they're worried about the future. While this happened, China faced another crisis, running out of people. Decades of the one-child policy backfired. China's birth rate collapsed. In 2023, fewer births than deaths for the first time. By 2050, over a third will be over 60.
So we told people to have one child for 40 years. Now we're telling them to have 3. They're not listening.
Why not?
Because apartments cost 40 times the average salary, and there are no jobs.
Youth unemployment hit over 20%, then the government stopped publishing data. When numbers look bad, stop sharing them. Millions of educated young people with no jobs, no prospects, watching their parents' investments lose value. Now here's where it gets weirder. Just when China's tech sector was booming, Alibaba, Tencent, DD printing money, Beijing decided you're too powerful. Between 2020 and 2022, massive regulatory crackdowns, billions in fines, forced restructuring, killed IPOs. Jack Ma criticized government regulations and vanished from public view for 3 months.
Actually, everything is great. I love regulations.
Why? The government doesn't want any power center it doesn't control. This spooked investors. Hundreds of billions in market value evaporated. Message clear, the party is always in charge. Why should I care? Fair question. China is the world's largest trading nation and biggest commodity buyer. When their economy slows, prices drop globally, affecting Australia's iron ore, Brazil's soybeans, oil producers everywhere. China's also the world's factory. Your phone, laptop, Amazon purchases likely made there. Manufacturing slowdowns disrupt supply chains everywhere. China's total debt exceeds 280% of GDP. Large-scale defaults affect everyone trading with China or exposed to their markets. The 2008 crisis started with US housing. China's economy is way bigger now. And we haven't even talked about US-China tensions yet. Over the last few years, the US has been actively trying to decouple from China. The CHIPS Act, export controls on semiconductors, tariffs, trade wars. Official?
We're reducing dependence on China.
That's going to be expensive and take years.
But we don't want to be dependent on them when things get messy.
China's response? Double down on self-sufficiency. Belt and Road Initiative. Massive infrastructure investments across Asia, Africa, Latin America. Both countries are building economic spheres less dependent on each other. This is not a recipe for smooth global growth. Back to the original question, is China's economy actually collapsing? Economists can't even agree.
It's a crisis.
It's managed restructuring.
It's both.
The collapsing camp points to property freefall, massive debt, demographic decline, youth unemployment, deflation risks. The fine camp counters government control, still growing, $3 trillion in reserves, can stimulate if needed. The complicated camp, not 2008-style collapse, but not unstoppable either. More like Japan's slow deflation in the 90s. Here's what we know. Growth dropped from 10% to around 5%. Many think it's lower. The property market driving 2 decades of growth is in trouble. No replacement growth engine yet.
Save everything. Trust nothing.
But the government says we're recovering. They also said real estate only goes up.
China's government has tools Western governments don't. They can force lending, investment, control capital. That prevents sudden collapse but delays reforms and worsens long-term problems. Your job in manufacturing, commodities, or shipping? China's slowdown affects demand. Your investments? Your 401k probably has exposure to China or companies dependent on it. Your shopping? Supply chain shifts affect prices and availability of everything you buy. Your inflation? China's been keeping global prices low for 20 years through cheap manufacturing. If that changes, inflation rises. When the world's second largest economy struggles, it doesn't stay contained. So here's the truth about China's collapsing economy. It's not collapsing like Lehman Brothers in 2008. There's no single dramatic moment. But it's also not the unstoppable juggernaut of the last 20 years. What's happening is more gradual, and potentially more concerning because it's gradual. China built an economy on cheap labor, endless construction, and ever-rising property values. Now, labor is not cheap. Construction is slowing. Property values are falling. They're trying to transition to consumption and technology, while their population ages, youth unemployment soars, and the government cracks down on innovation. The question isn't whether China's economy is collapsing. It's whether they can transform their economic model before the weight of debt, demographics, and imbalances becomes too much to bear. We genuinely don't know yet. What we do know, the choices China makes in the next 5-10 years will shape the global economy for decades. If they succeed in transitioning to high-tech, high-value growth, they remain dominant. If not, we're watching the slow-motion unwinding of the world's second-largest economy. And whether you're in Ohio, or London, or Sydney, or Sao Paulo, you're going to feel it. Because in a connected world, when something this big shifts, nobody gets to sit it out.